Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening. My name is Willie Lawson of The Willie Lawson Show here on iHeartRadio. Tonight we're going to do some more post-mortem before the Sunday shows get on it. And the Sunday shows on TV are definitely going to be on this tomorrow for sure. And you'll be hearing about it on conservative radio for the rest of the week. The GOP debate that happened last night. Right after the debate, we reported some of the iCitizens, which is an app you can get on the Apple platform and the Android platform. Some of the results that we saw there. But tonight we are going to broadcast the Grassfire Nation post debate poll data, which is over 1,000 conservatives who are hooked up with the folks at Grassfire Nation. Grassfire Nation is the parent company of Liberty News, and you know, those of you who have followed my career know that I've done an awful lot of work with Liberty News. And a couple of years ago, I was in Virginia doing election coverage with the great folks at Grassfire, and Liberty News. So you know that I do a lot of work with them, and those guys mean a lot to me. I'm just saying, they mean an awful lot to me. So we're going to spend some time tonight talking about their results and some interesting information, some bizarre, interesting information, because I think that a lot of people really, a lot of us only saw the varsity debate, and I divided up the debate into two very specific areas. It was the varsity debate and the junior varsity debate. There's really no other way to put it, and I don't have any problem with how it was split up. Really, I really don't have any problem with how it was split up, because again, you're in a situation where you have 17 people. You can't have 17 people on the stage at one time, can you? Can you have 17 people on the stage at one time? No, probably not. Probably not the best way to do it. As a matter of fact, probably having 10 people on the stage, or 7 people, as in the JV debate on the stage, is probably not the best way to do it. But with, you know what, here's the deal. Here's the upside. Every single candidate that was declared got an opportunity. Got some sort of opportunity. So you know what? It doesn't get any better than that. You know what? Everybody got a shot. And I'll tell you what, once you hear the results, of the poll that the folks at Liberty News did, powered by Grassfire Nation, you'll go, wow, well, I guess it wasn't as bad as people thought. I think people were a little bit more tuned in than a lot of people thought they would be. All right, let's see here. We've all been waiting with anxious anticipation to see if the Fox News effort to knock Donald Trump down was effective, and I think, and this article was written by my friend Eric Odom. I'm personally, you know what, we all have our own personal opinions. We are all not walking around in lockthink. I don't really think necessarily that it was Fox News' job, or they were trying to knock down Donald Trump. I don't really think so. I really, really, really don't think so. And if you don't believe me that we don't walk around and lockthink, I just tweeted a little bit ago that I think what a lot of Trump supporters and Obama supporters have in common is his blind loyalty. Yes. When I've talked about it before, yes, Donald Trump is running around saying exactly what conservatives want to hear. He's saying exactly what they want to hear. Now, he doesn't have any experience in delivering any of that, but he has experience in selling. He has his experience in saying what people want to hear. So I'm not so quick to jump on anybody's bandwagon. Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, Carly Fiorina, Ben Carson, anybody's bandwagon. Let's just see it play out. because we saw something play out. Grassfire Nation put together a poll, and this is the pre-debate poll. The top four people. And the question was, who is your first choice for the 2016 Republican presidential candidate? This is pre-debate. It was Donald Trump leading with 37.6%, followed by Ted Cruz at 23.4%, Ben Carson with 15.4%, and Scott Walker with 11.2%. At that point, everybody else finished below 5%. All the other 13 candidates finished below 5%. Grassfire began rolling out its post-debate survey, and it ran it overnight, closing out the poll around noon time today. The results are stunning, to say the least. The same question: who is your first choice for the 2016 Republican presidential candidate? This is after the debate. Number 1, Ted Cruz, 29.6%. Almost a 6-point increase. Donald Trump, down from 37.6% to 23.6%. And I'll give you what I think was Donald Trump's problem when we get done. In the third spot, down a little bit, from 15.4 to 12.6, Dr. Ben Carson. But up from the second debate, from the JV debate, number 4, Carly Fiorina, 8.3%. And up from lower than 5%, in the fifth spot is Marco Rubio at 6.5%. At number 6, with more than 5%, is Mike Huckabee with 6.4%. And at 7, in the seventh spot, at 5.9%, was Scott Walker. For Donald Trump, this represents a 37.1% loss. So again, the question is, did the Fox News hurt Trump? Well, was it Fox News that hurt Trump, or was it Trump being Trump that hurt Donald Trump? You know, we've had football players, we've had athletes that we always say this: when they do something stupid or when they misbehave, we always say, that's Manny being Manny. Right? Boston Red Sox fans? Or those of you who follow the career of Terrell Owens, that's just T.O. being T.O. We knew that a while ago. Right? We knew that that's who these people were. We knew that that's how they behaved. We already knew that. And in both cases, the act always wears thin. At some point, it wears thin. Now, are we all ready? See, my question now to you, and you can respond to me on Twitter at RBM Show, or you can refer to me. You can get back to me at my email address. That's WLS860@gmail.com. Or you can get us on Facebook at the Willie Lawson Show on iHeartRadio page. Has Donald Trump's shtick and you know what, and his game sort of worn thin? You know what, and both those cases where I'm talking about athletes, what normally happens is after a while, it just starts to wear on people. They get tired of saying, well, that's just Manny being Manny. They get tired of saying, well, that's just T.O. being T.O. It just gets old. It just gets old. Now, are we at that point with Donald Trump where maybe the whole Trump thing, the whole being obnoxious, the whole being whatever Donald Trump is, maybe it's just wearing thin. Maybe it's just getting old. maybe it's just getting old. And frankly, maybe it's getting old a lot sooner than a lot of people thought. You know what, I've said for a while now, and whenever anybody asks me about it, I always say, you know what, if the Trump campaign gets to December, then it's a whole new game. It's Katie bar the door, as opposed to what's going to happen. I mean, when we're talking about what's going to happen from January plus, who knows? It's going to be a wild one. Get your popcorn out, because it'll be wild. But this campaign may implode before we get to Christmas, because that act wears thin. Because it's always fun to see somebody sort of do what you want to do. It was fun to see T.O. when he played for San Francisco score a touchdown and go to Dallas and hop up and down on the big star. It was fun to watch. But then it became week after week after week after week after week after week of T.O. being T.O. And not only did fans get tired of it, I mean, the league got tired of it, but fans got tired of it too. Even those of us who said in the beginning, well, that's cool. That's kind of fun. So maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump's antics are already wearing thin. I watched the debate. I hadn't planned on it because I thought it started a lot earlier, and I was at church. So, but you know, I got home pretty much as the varsity debates started, and golly, before I even got home, I was reading on my phone that they're going after Trump. They're going after Trump. Okay, here's the guy who led in the polls big time, even in our Liberty News poll pre-debate, 37.6%. So, of course, this is the guy that you want to hear from. This is the guy who is the king of drawing attention to himself. So, of course, he's going to draw the most attention. You know what? It's silly. I mean, it's silly to think that he wasn't going to. And how pissed off would Trump supporters been if Fox News would have ignored Trump? You know, how silly would that have been? And how pissed off would a lot of you be? A lot of you would be furious. They didn't want him to talk. They didn't want him to say anything. It was the establishment. You know what? Fox News is out to get him. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? If he would have never been allowed to say anything, if they would have treated him like they treated Ben Carson, then you would be pissed. And what happened last night was, my opinion, frankly, Donald Trump was given an opportunity to hang himself. And I don't know. Frankly, I don't know if he did. I think we all have this idea that maybe reality is starting to. I think reality is starting to show up here, but I don't think he killed himself. I don't think he destroyed himself. You know what? I heard reports all day that his campaign is unraveling, and I don't think it's unraveling. You know, I heard that stuff early this morning with Glenn Beck, and then later on with Rush Limbaugh, and I don't think that at all. I don't think that at all. But I think that what Donald Trump did get, he got a lesson. He got a lesson from politicians, some very experienced politicians. There's an awful lot of years of political know-how on that stage. The only people without political know-how are him and Dr. Carson. We're talking about senators and ex-governors, or ex-governors and governors on that stage. There's a lot of political know-how on that stage. So in this particular situation, Donald Trump was an amateur and made amateur mistakes. His He's got a professional bravado, but made amateur mistakes. So other than that, I don't think that Donald hurt himself. But isn't it interesting that if you know anything about Grassfire Nation, you're probably not a flaming liberal if you subscribe to Grassfire Nation or Liberty News. You're probably not. These are conservatives. That's how they go down to the JV debate and pull up in fourth place Carly Fiorina. Now, I didn't see the JV debate. I've only heard clips like everybody else. But you know what? It didn't surprise me because I had the pleasure here in Tampa of being at a luncheon to hear, before she said she was going to that she was going to run for president, Carly Fiorina, and she was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Completely on fleek. Completely on point. So I'm not surprised. I was disappointed that she didn't make the varsity debate. But I think from now on, if they use the same sort of criteria, that she will, and the country will be introduced to Carly Fiorina. Now, am I on the Carly Fiorina bandwagon? No. I said to you a few minutes ago, I'm not on anybody's bandwagon. I think it's too early for that. I think that a lot of this stuff will play itself out eventually. It'll play itself out in a political way, because this is a political situation. This is politics, folks. This is not. We're not electing a prom queen or a prom queen or a prom king. This is politics. It's not a popularity contest. And whether you like it or not, there are ways to do politics. There are ways to do politics. And those of us who don't really like it, we just sort of think that the person that we like, because of what they said, should win. It's just not how it goes. It's just not how it goes, and I think that we're going to have to learn to be. We're going to have to learn to be a little understand how this process works a little differently. Because if we don't, we will simply, hey, hang on a second, I'm sorry. If we don't learn how this works, then we're going to continually be frustrated by it. So we're going to do a recap. I went to, and you can go there too, libertynews.com, and you'll see breaking news that over 5,000 conservatives voted in a post-debate poll. This article is written by my friend Eric Odom. And of those 5,000 conservatives, because I'll tell you what, because Grassfire Nation powers Liberty News and has a huge mailing list. Huge mailing list. So they got 5,000 plus people to participate in this mailing list. And we're going to go over the results again for those folks who just tuning in on Periscope. Hey, good to see y'all. Heart. This was the pre-debate poll on Liberty News. I'll give you the top four because there were only four. Donald Trump was at 37.6%. When the question was asked, who is your first choice for a 2016 Republican presidential candidate? Trump. Hey, Trump was first with 37.6%. Ted Cruz was second with 23.4%. Ben Carson was third with 15.4%, and Scott Walker was fourth with 11.2%. Now, this poll was before the debate. Now, Grassfire Nation started rolling their survey overnight after the debate and running it all the way until like noon today. And here's what the results are post-debate. Same question. Who is your first choice for the 2016 Republican presidential candidate? Ted Cruz at 29.6%. 29.6%, almost 6 points up from where he was pre-debate. Donald Trump down to 23.6, down like 9 points from the pre-debate. Now, we can have that discussion. Was it Fox News that submarined Donald Trump? No. I think that it was a Donald, like I just said before, I think it was a Donald being Donald that submarined himself. He got involved in a little tete-a-tetes with folks and with Megan Kelly, that I don't think was necessary, and I think that a more experienced politician might not have gotten into, and that hurt him. That hurt him amongst conservatives, and there's not a more conservative group than the folks at Grassfire Nation. There's just not a more conservative group than that. Number 3, because you're waiting, I'm sorry, I'll tell you, was Dr. Ben Carson at 12.6%, down a little bit from before, because there are more people on the list. And at number 4, Carly Fiorina came from the JV debate. People are calling it the JV debate. I just saw a tweet from Channel 8 News calling that first debate the children's table. I'm not calling it that. I will call it JV because normally JV has a smaller number of people, and they play before the varsity, and they did so. Then we're talking about at number 5 was 6.5%. Carly Fiorina had 8.3%, by the way. At 6.5% was Marco Rubio. At 6% was 6.4%, and number 6 was Mike Huckabee, and at 5.9% was Scott Walker. Every other candidate, according to this Grassfire Nation Liberty News poll, had less than 5%. So truly the winner, coming from nowhere, coming from the JV debate, was Carly Fiorina, who had less than 5% in the pre-debate poll on Grassfire Nation, and rocketed up to 8.3%. Surely, Mrs. Fiorina struck a similar chord in people that Donald Trump has been, but she hasn't had the exposure of Donald Trump. Who has? Who has? No one on the stage has. And we've got governors and senators on that stage. The governor of Ohio, the past governor of Florida, the governor, again, Ohio, the past governor of Florida, the governor of New Jersey on that stage. You've got Senators Rand Paul, Senators Marco Rubio on that stage. So you've got a lot of people who are good at the political thing. The problem for Donald Trump, and I know a lot of people are fallen in love with the Donald because he's been saying things that you and I have been thinking. Didn't realize that in that particular arena, just like Dr. Carson, who I am a big fan of in a whole lot of ways, is an amateur and made amateur mistakes in this first debate. I'm not. First of all, you can't even call it a debate with 10 people on the stage. It was like a mass interview, and I think that there'll be more mass interviews. So, the only way that people win or lose is that we do these silly polls, and then we find out who we like. I don't know if that means a whole bunch. Anyway, for Donald Trump in this particular poll, it means a loss of about 37%. So he hurt himself. I think he hurt himself. Now, some of you will say it was Fox News that hurt him. Be careful about saying stuff like that. That's the very same stuff that Barack Obama says. That's the same sort of thing that Barack Obama supporters say. Fox News hates me, so that's why things are difficult, because Fox News hates me. Was it really? Now, my friend Eric Odom, who wrote this article, is a fan of that, obviously, about the way he wrote the article, and you can see it yourself if you go to libertynews.com. He is currently thinking that everybody's after Trump because Trump has said some things that are controversial. What? Donald Trump has said controversial stuff? Yeah, okay, he has. And will he continue to? Yeah, probably. But I'm going to make a prediction. Make a prediction now. Probably not in the same way that he has already. I think that Donald winds it back a little bit. I think he listens to his handlers a little bit more, and I think that he ends up being a little bit more slow to speak than he has been already. I think that Donald is smart. I think Donald Trump is smart. Nobody who has made as much money as Donald Trump can be stupid. As a matter of fact, I don't think anyone on that stage, either on the JV debate or the varsity debate, is stupid. I think if you look at those 17 candidates, almost without fail, that's a pretty impressive group of Americans. For all sorts of different reasons, that's a pretty doggone impressive group of Americans. Now it's going to simply be politics that make the difference. It's going to be politics that makes the difference. I think, and again, according to this article, the person who gained the most is Carly Fiorina, and I kind of agree. I kind of agree that it was Carly Fiorina that came out of nowhere. Really, it came out of nowhere, and I think that we're going to see probably over the next month or so, we're going to see a big surge in Carly Fiorina. We're going to see a lot more of her. We're going to hear a lot more from her. And I think that she's going to end up, like the article says on Liberty News, I think she's going to end up being a top-tier candidate, probably a top 5 or top 6 candidate for the foreseeable future. This might have been, even if this methodology of debate wasn't the best, this might have been the perfect thing for her, because she was in a smaller pool of people and she was able to shine a little brighter, a little quicker. I think that from now on, she will not be at the children's table, or she won't be at the JV debates. I think she'll be there with all the top tier folks, and we're going to see this end up being very, very interesting as these debates. I even hate to call them debates, but I guess you call them what everybody else calls them as they go on. I think that it's going to be more and more interesting as time goes on. I'm curious as to what you think about the Donald. You can, if you have a Twitter account, or if you're watching me on Periscope, let me know. What do you think about the Donald? Do you think the Donald hurt himself? Do you think it was Fox News that on behalf of the establishment Republicans that were out after Donald? What do you think? Because, like I said, this show is rarely about what I think. It's really more about what you think. So if you want to send me a tweet, or you want to tweet at me at RBM Show, that's at the @ RBMSHOW. I have my Twitter feed open, and I'm waiting to hear from you. A couple of people have already favorited the tweet I sent out already, but I'm waiting to hear from you. Or you can send me an email at WLS860@gmail.com. Yeah, email. Kind of old-fashioned, kind of old school, but still effective. It still works. And and we'll probably be around for a while. And I'm opening my email now. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your reactions. And if you're, and I do know, let's see here. All right. I want to move that back over here. In any case, we, again, this article is on, all sorts of things are happening in front of me. You got to excuse me. I am really, really curious as to what you think about this. I personally, frankly, I think that the Donald, again, being an amateur in this, kind of hurt himself. He got involved with a little back and forth, especially with Megan. I'm going to call her Megan Fox again, Megyn Kelly. That really wasn't necessary. And he got to this whole thing that, oh, you're not treating me well. Really? Aren't you a grown-ass man? Aren't you a captain of industry? And you're whining at Megyn Kelly that she didn't treat you well? They're out to get you? Come on, man. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. I personally thought that Rand Paul hurt himself because he got into a back and forth with the Donald, and then when the Donald was ranting, this is what Rand Paul was doing. He was looking down, he was fiddling with papers to the top of his head. What he should have done was turn and look at the Donald straight up, mano a mano, but he didn't do that. And I think that hurt him. As I'm watching it, I didn't like that. I think that his handlers need to get with him and say, that's not how you handle a tough situation when you get into one, especially with these mass interviews. And that's all they are. They aren't debates. They're mass interviews. A debate, and you've seen them, is either two teams of people that have contrasting opinions and viewpoints, and they go back and forth to convince a panel of people to support their viewpoints. That's not what this is. What we have is a mass interview where somebody asks a question, and sometimes you get a little back and forth between the question asker and the individual question answerer, and hopefully to make good TV or good radio, you hope that some of the candidates go get a little back and forth. That's an interview. That's not a debate. So there can be no real winners or losers. It's just people can hurt themselves or give themselves a little bit of up. Carly Fiorina obviously gave herself a lot of up because she was powerful. She was able to state her point clearly, and that was very beneficial to her. It was also very beneficial to someone like, and I saw this, Dr. Carson. Dr. Carson was very plain, very succinct on his viewpoints, made a lot of sense, and was very, very relatable. And that's a word that we've been using in the past couple of election cycles. He's very, very relatable. Now, at the same time, I don't for a second think that Dr. Carson and I are going to hang out. Please don't think, well, he's like us. I don't think for a second that Dr. Carson and I are going to hang out. He's a freaking world famous neurosurgeon. Guess what? Hang on a second. Oh, dagnabbit, I don't have it. I was looking for my phone. I don't have his cell phone number. He doesn't have mine, so we're not going to hang out. We're not. I'm guessing that the person who's watching on Periscope is not Dr. Carson. I'm just guessing. Are you? Dr. Carson, is that you? On Periscope, Dr. Carson, is that you? See? Nothing. Well, it may be. He didn't answer back. So they didn't answer back, so maybe it is Dr. Carson. But he was very relatable. I was able to listen to his answers and inside myself go, yes, that makes a lot of sense. That makes me feel good, because that's kind of what I was thinking. Said in a strong way, but not an obnoxious way. Personally, I think that Donald hurt himself because his act is wearing thin. Do you think that his act is wearing thin? I mentioned earlier two sports examples. One of them is Manny Ramirez, Boston Red Sox, and the other one was Terrell Owens. And Terrell played in San Francisco, and he played in Dallas. He played in Philadelphia, and Terrell Owens was a character on the field. talented wide receiver, Hall of Fame wide receiver as far as I'm concerned. But you know what? The whole pulling the Sharpie out and signing the ball, the drawing attention to himself, when he was in San Francisco, running over to the star in Dallas after scoring a touchdown and hopping up and down on the star. Although we thought that those antics were wonderful, but they started to wear thin, not only with the league, but with his teammates and eventually the fans. Are Donald Trump's antics starting to wear thin? Is it obvious that it's a lot more style than substance? Does that sound familiar? Is it getting old already? And will it get old? I'd love to hear from you. Will Donald Trump's antics get old? Will we be tired of them sooner or later? All right, we got to get out of here. Thanks again for coming to my Periscope feed. God bless you. We appreciate it. We're going to do a Blog Talk Radio show in a little bit, and we're going to talk about some of the very same things. And we're going to again do more Periscope because I like it. Is it good? Does it sound good? If you're watching, let me know. Message me on Periscope or a couple of hearts. Sound good? Looks good on my side, but I don't know. I don't know what it looks like out there. So I need your feedback. And in any case, we're looking to do more. You're going to hear on Sunday, day after tomorrow, on the Sunday shows, a lot more about the debate. And here's what you're going to find out: that you're not going to hear anything on the Sunday shows that you haven't heard right here. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Willie Lawson Show on iHeartRadio. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. All right.